Good evening, guys. It's Saturday night here, 11 p.m. in the Philippines. Um, Hope everybody's well. Now, I'd just like to tell a few little stories about my childhood when I was a little nipper. I was only a little kid. When I was only knee high to a grasshopper. Excuse me. Um, I think 1966, I was about 11 years old, and we had heavy snow. That year it snowed very heavy at Christmas. It was about 2 foot deep. And Christmas morning, me and my brother was excited because my mum and dad bought us both a little cowboy outfit. We had a cowboy hat, and a little waist, and we had a little two guns each, an holster, two little guns. It's like so we said, "Come on, Kev, let's go outside." Kev is my brother. He passed away about 3 years ago, and he was 3 years younger than me. So I'm 67 this year, so he'd have been about 64, would he? So anyway, so back to this story. We both got these little cowboy outfits with guns and that. So I said to Kev, "Come on, Kev, let's go and have a showdown on the high street, on the on the street." And it was 2 foot of snow, so it didn't look like the OK Corral. And so we stood about 6 foot apart. I said, "Come on, Kev, the first one to draw is the winner, and the other one's going to be dead, yeah?" So we both drew. I drew first, and I said, "Go on, Bumblebee, you're dead." He said, "No, no, I'm not dead." The next minute, there's a man coming up the road with a great big St. Bernard dog. You know the St. Bernard dog, they used to find buried people in the snow, didn't they, with a little barrel of whiskey around their neck. In Switzerland, I think. They used to save people in the mountains when it snowed or when they got in an avalanche. And the dog's come up the road like, and then he put his paws on Kev on his shoulders and he buried him on the snow. It was funny. Uh, it was very cold that year, I remember. I was only 11 years old, I was then. And also, any season, my mum and dad used to buy things early, in advance. I remember at Easter, they bought these chocolate Easter eggs. And they used to hide them on top of the cupboard, but I know where the hiding place was because I was a bit naughty, a bit mischievous. Anyway, they bought this it was like a chocolate dolly, about this big, a chocolate dolly. I said to Kev, when the parents went out, I said, "Come on, Kev, let's climb up there. We'll just take a little piece. They won't notice if we take a little piece." And before you know it, we ate all the head of a dolly, so they only got the headless dolly was left at the chocolate. And it was the same with bonfire night. You used to buy the firecrackers early and put them up there on the hiding place, which I knew about. So I said to Kev, "Come on, Kev, let's get one little firework and let it off in the garden." He said, "No one won't do any harm. We'll just take one." And so I chose this big sort of triangle one, like a pyramid shaped one. I says, "Come on, Kev, get the lighter, light him up. Let's light him up." And then all of a sudden I saw all this gushing out with green smoke. Yeah, it's a big green smoke, and then there was a fireball coming out, whoa, bam, and another one, bam, and a third one, bam, and all the neighbours was coming out to find out what was going off, Yeah, so we got in trouble for that. I was the ringleader, I was the culprit, really. And I remember one year, we was bonfire night in England. It was custom to go out on the streets. What used to make a little Guy Fawkes. We used to make a little guy and put him in a pram and push him. And then we used to beg off people, "Penny for the guy, mister." And they'd give you some little change, because you got to. So my sister, Helen, she says to me, "Oh, we haven't got a guy this year. Maybe you, Dave, you can go in the pram, sit there and be still, make out you like a little dolly, They put a mask on my face and that. And so I goes, all right. And so we stood on this corner and there's these three boys come along like big yobbos, you know, like hooligans. And my sister says, penny for the guy, mister. And I said, where's your guy? He's rubbish. And they kicked me in the face. And I screamed, ah! And they jumped out because they thought it was a dummy, you know. I said, oh, sorry, we didn't know it's a person in there. And I'm clutching my eye to kick me in the eye. Ah! So I said to my sister, that's the last time. I'm not doing that again. I'm not getting to the prom. But we used to go outside the drinking bars, you know, because when the men come out of the bars, they're drunk, they're a bit generous with the money. I say, penny for the guy, mister, and they give you like £2 because they didn't know what they're doing, like, you know. So, so yeah, that's just a few little tales about my childhood there. We lived in Nottingham, and it was good for that time because my dad was just out of the army by then. But before, we'd be travelling around everywhere, living in army barracks, army quarters. But that's another tale for another time about my dad and his, who was in the British Army. We used to move around, go to different schools, but that's a story for another time. But I hope you enjoyed the one about the Christmas and the bonfire night. And so anyway, guys, enjoy your Saturday evening, and I'll leave you with that and say it's Davey signing out. God bless you all, and thank you for watching. Till next time, ciao.